corners. From Turnersville to Rural Hall, her expertise is in the Triad Market shines. And she's more than your agent. Nikki is a proud supporter of local high school athletics, cheering on your local teams and backing your community all the way. Want service with speed, insight, and hometown heart? Call Nikki Rottweiler with Head Realty Group at eXp Realty today, 336-448-9309, and let her open the door to your next home. Welcome to Bobo's Deli and Grill in Winston-Salem, now featuring our brand new patio. Come enjoy the game day vibe or a relaxing meal outside on our newly renovated patio. At Bobo's, we serve more than just great food, we serve our neighbors. Quick, friendly service every time. And with football here, try our event catering. Whether it's game day, school events, or family celebrations, Bobo caters to any size group. Bobo's Deli and Grill, 3478 Robin Hood Road in Winston-Salem.
Looking for a new do-it-all spot for everything automotive? Look no further than the Auto Store of NC. The Walnut Cove location offers everything you need from preventive maintenance, diagnostics, state inspections, brakes, AC service, oil changes, and much, much more. The Auto Store of NC sells tires now, and they also do car detailing. And of course, they are still selling the best used cars in the Triad. Come visit the Auto Store of NC, worth the drive at 216 South Main Street in Walnut Cove. Open Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Call to schedule an appointment today at 336-536-8322.
This is Grant Williams, and you're listening to The Desmond Johnson Show on Tobacco Road Sports Radio, your Triad home for sports.
And welcome into our triumphant return back to Saturday mornings here in the Triad. Of course, those that know me, I'm Desmond Johnson, formerly the host of The Rundown with Desmond Johnson. You probably saw it or heard it on WSGS radio back in the day. We were around for about 4 years or so. Commitments made it where I couldn't do it every Saturday morning, so we stopped it in 2023. We're back. So the Desmond Johnson Show, which is normally on Fridays at 12:30, we've moved that show now to Saturdays live at 11 a.m., where we'll be able to help with NFL, college football. We're going to have high school football recaps and a whole lot more. My man Hot Rod Funderburk back in the house. You guys haven't seen him since the rundown. He's in here. Ben Troupe and Ryan Smith in the house, also co-host of Winning the Division. It's all NFL today. We also have Charlotte Observer beat writer Alex Zietlow coming onto the show around about 11:40 a.m. to talk Panthers versus Texans. That game is 1 p.m. today in the Triad area. WFMY News 2 should have that, if not a Panthers Radio Network or Panthers TV Network. Let's go ahead and roll that intro, and let's get into it. It's an NFL Saturday NFL Roundtable. It's the Desmond Johnson Show.
Live with Desmond Johnson, son, the live is one. Represent NC to the fullest.
Yeah, welcome to the Carolinas. Everywhere you go, the sky of Carolina blue, the finest. Live action, feedback, the city needs that. I've been number one, no cap. Here's the recap. Adrenaline is my addiction. I'm about to relapse. Step on the turf if you won't and get your weed whacked. I'm going harder than a martyr on the starter end. It's the heart of man, that's a rap like a cardigan. I'm breaking records, it's 4th and inches. I count the seconds. The over-under's my roar of thunder, my secret weapon. Yeah, the game is to be told. I don't break, I break modes. Follow me on Tobacco Road.
Live with Desmond Johnson, son, the live is one. Represent NC to the fullest.
It feels good. It feels good, Rod. It's like putting on an old pair of slippers. So we ain't been in here in a minute, but it's Saturday morning. We're going to get you guys ready for NFL football. I see my man got a Dallas jersey on. We're going to start off with Dallas. So just how everybody doing? How's everybody going out there in the Triad? Ben and Ryan are new to the format. What's going on, guys? They're the hosts of Winning the Division over on Fans First Sports Network and the Keep Pounding Podcast Network, where we run a bunch of Carolina Panther podcasts. What's going on, guys? How are y'all doing this morning?
Doing great, Des. Good to be here.
Yeah, I can't complain. I mean, I was going to say Hot Rod coming in with the Dallas Cowboys. I said, oh, we already starting early. Let's do it, though.
Hey, that's what we do, man. What's happening, everybody? Good to see you guys.
Yep. So we're going to get into it. We're going to start off with probably the biggest story in the NFL right now, and this hold-in with Micah Parsons, star defensive player for the Dallas Cowboys, probably top 3 defensive player in the league. versus Jerry Jones and the whatever's going on here. This should have been done a while ago, gentlemen, because if this was like the situation like CeeDee Lamb a year or so ago, that was understandable. He was waiting on Justin Jefferson to sign his deal, so he had something comparable to go to it. As soon as that happened, boom, CeeDee gets signed. They overpaid for Dak. I'm sorry, Rod. You probably already know that already, that they overpaid for Dak. But then the same thing happened. Jerry waited and thought he could get a cheaper deal if he waited. It never works. Like going back to 92 with Emmitt Smith, like he tried to wait him out, ended up paying him more money than he wanted to. This feels like it's heading that direction now too. Micah is actually one of the first ones that's actually demanding a trade. I just saw the Packers may have offered some sort of something for him, but the Cowboys would be stupid to trade Micah Parsons. As the Dallas Cowboy fan on the panel, I'm going to let you start this off, Rod. Your thoughts on your Cowboys. What the hell are they doing with Micah Parsons?
Well, number one, when it comes to Jerry Jones, he's just a liar, period. I mean, that guy told us a long time ago, hey, man, I want to win Super Bowls. I want to do anything I can to win Super Bowls. Well, that's a lie. Micah Parsons is probably the best player, defensive player, arguably in the NFL right now. Has stats that mirror Reggie White in his first 4 years. We know about the Minister of Defense and Reggie White. And you're talking about a no-brainer. Go ahead and get this man signed. Get him done. But you want to play games. Jerry Jones is not interested in winning Super Bowls. I don't even think he's interested in winning football games. This dude is interested in making the Cowboys a topic in headlines, and he's interested in attention. That is it, man. And I'm going to tell you what, I've been a Cowboys fan for a long time, but Jerry Jones is making it hard to continue to be a Cowboys fan. And he is one person whose side I am not on. But as far as Micah Parsons goes, I think Jerry Jones is halfway in trouble. And I think even if he does decide to get the deal done, it might be too late. A man like Micah Parsons, we know how he wears his heart on his sleeve. Micah Parsons may say, hey, man, I don't even want to be here anymore, regardless of what it is you want to pay me, even if you want to go up and above $42.5 million per. So I will not be surprised if we as Cowboys lose Micah Parsons due to the way Jerry Jones, his front office, and the Cowboys organizations have disrespected him in one of the worst ways a productive NFL player of his level can be disrespected, Des.
Been a former NFL tight end yourself. When you see this been going back and forth in the media between Micah and Jerry Jones and the Cowboys front office, what are your thoughts as a player? How do you think it's affecting the rest of the team? Because to Rod's point, if they really cared about winning Super Bowls and things of that sort, this wouldn't be out in the open like this. It almost feels like Jerry's instigating it by keeping it in the media, which keeps the Cowboys' name in the media, which keeps them worth $6 billion or whatever, but they haven't been to a Super Bowl since 1996. Like, how do you think this is affecting the locker room and the players that are in there?
I mean, it's definitely having a bad setting a bad precedent for everybody there, because here's the thing. Jerry Jones has already come out and said that he likes to have this negative attention. He likes to, ruffle feathers and kind of like muddy the waters. But the question is why? Because when you think about the Dallas Cowboys, most of those guys that's on the team now was even coming out the wound in the early 90s or haven't came out the wound yet. And now you're trying to be able to say our best player on the team, this is how you treat him. So if I'm the 53rd man on the roster, the 52nd man on the roster, I already know how he gonna do me. When's the last time somebody negotiated anything without my agent being in the room? That's not even a negotiation. And
yeah, that's a conversation. Yeah,
exactly. I agree with Rod though. Here's the thing, right? The only owner that does more interviews than any player is Jerry Jones. He gets interviewed more than them. And the question is why? Because I think what he wants is, I want to be the biggest brand. I don't want to be the best team. You got to pick. And for Jerry Jones, he go, look, man, business is booming over here because if I ever sold, the Dallas Cowboys, it's going to go for a ridiculous number. But the thing about it is don't you want to win? Look at what the Eagles are doing. Look at what the Commanders are doing. You don't want that type of legacy. You want to be known as, I'm Jerry Jones, the owner of the Dallas Cowboys. Okay, well, most owners don't even want to be known. You only going to see me if we hoisting up the Lombardi Trophy.
Yeah.
And I know they got the Netflix special coming out right. Why do you think it's coming out right now? Why do you think the American team is coming out right now? Because I want to show them we used to be this. Yeah, man, but, whoever had to dust off them Lombardi trophies, they definitely get a lot of work because they got to dust them off a lot. But Micah Parsons is a transitional talent. You ain't seen a guy. Max Crosby got all that money. He's never been a first-team All-Pro. Micah Parsons has been a first-team All-Pro twice. He's been a second-team All-Pro twice, and he missed 4 games, not 6, Jerry. And he still led the team with double-digit sacks. It's what it says to the rest of the team when you treat Micah Parsons like that. So guess what? Look, we've all been in relationships and we've all forgave her when she did something she shouldn't have done. The relationship is never the same. So he's gonna be there. It's not gonna be the same anymore. And $42 million is good for your bank account. It's not good for his mindset. I'm looking forward to the circus. I thought was gonna be George Pickens. Turns out it's Jerry Jones.
And it's always been Jerry Jones. Like, I mean, really thinking back on it over the past, since 89 when he bought the team, it's been him and then the Dallas Cowboys. And to your point, Ben, you never see Clark Hunt running around here, the Chiefs owner, with radio shows and making comments on player negotiations and stuff like that. Jerry's the only owner that does this. Al Davis used to do this kind of, but Jerry goes a little bit further into the media world with it. Ryan, I wanted to ask you, I wanted to leave this question for you in terms of Dallas. What do you think their odds are to make the playoffs with this distraction going into the regular season? Because they've got a lot of questions in terms of the defense itself. We were questioning the defense last year. They couldn't really tackle anybody. They didn't really, I don't know if they really fixed the run game, because that's an issue. And then you got the issue with Dak Prescott not being able to get through 17 games, but you're paying him $60 million a year. Is this the end of the window for the Dallas Cowboys if they can't make something happen here? Because I look at it like, if they just, let's say they trade Micah Parsons. If they trade Micah Parsons, to me, that's them telling the team that your window to win with this group is over, because we just traded away your best player. Like, we gave Dak 60, we gave CeeDee Lamb 30, we gave all these guys this money, but we didn't feel like giving that to the best player. So we have to rebuild off of whatever, because you're getting draft picks or whatever back from. You're not going to get a player comparable to Micah Parsons in a trade. So, Ryan, is this the end of the window for the Cowboys, if there was ever a window for the Cowboys in this group?
You already answered the question. Was there ever a window for the Cowboys? Let's be honest. So I do think that Dallas has a lot of talent. No one's questioning that. But can everything come together in one piece? Can Dak stay healthy? Can someone step up in the running game? Jacob Ferguson, one of the most underrated tight ends in the league. CeeDee Lamb, George Pickens. We know what the offense can do. Defense, they've got some talent on that side of the ball, but it's going to be tough. This division is tough. Washington, I expect them to take a slight step back this year, but who knows how much. Philadelphia is the defending Super Bowl champs, and then the Giants are, just the Giants. But to answer your question a second ago, I want to read something I found, and I think it's a pretty good point. You mentioned Al Davis. I think we're seeing the last 5 to 7 years of Al Davis's tenure with the Raiders. This is where Jerry is right now. This is what is happening with Dallas, kind of what happened in the last 5 to 7 years with Al Davis owning the Raiders. But I think really what's happening with these contract situations, the Cowboys are carrying baggage. Hot Rod, let me give you two players. DeMarcus Ware, Randy Gregory. What do those two guys have in common? Their contract situations were essentially botched. Randy Gregory's agent, had put a clause in there, and that kind of affected that whole situation. And then DeMarcus Ware, they sent him to Denver and watched them go win a Super Bowl over my Carolina Panthers. That still hurts to this day. We won't talk about that part.
We won't talk about
that.
The
conclusion is Jerry, I think, is carrying some baggage from those past mistakes, and he is hesitant to trust an agent, even as well-respected as David Malagueta, who has done contracts like Deshaun Watson's and very many others throughout the NFL. So I think that's something that has to be in play here. Is I think Jerry is carrying that emotional baggage. He doesn't know what to do. He doesn't trust. He's been burned twice before. So I think that is definitely playing a part in this. But however, I don't think they're going to trade Micah Parsons. I think this will get done, even if it's the Sunday before the season.
Well, Jerry has, I think Jerry has burned himself. You know what I mean? He should hire a general manager, period. And when you talk about Al Davis, I watched the Football Life some years ago. Jerry Jones learned NFL football business from Al Davis. So boom, there you go. And that's why you're seeing Al Davis right now. But man, the Jerry Jones, forget about it. He gets in his own way. And I'm going to say something that maybe I shouldn't say, but I'm going to say it anyway. Jerry Jones has this plantation mentality. He has always had it. He brings in players and he's talking about their doggone private part size. And then when you look back at the way he does his contracts, when has Troy Aikman had an issue with getting a contract done? When has Tony Romo had an issue of getting a contract done? When has Jason Witten had an issue of getting a contract done? Well, you go back, look at it, look who has had the issues of getting a contract done. You're talking about Emmitt Smith. You're talking about the running back. what Ezekiel Elliott. You're
Remember,
talking.
he went through it with Dion. Remember,
He
they
went
had the
through it with
negotiation
Deion Sanders. He sure did. I mean, he went through it with all these players, and right now with Micah Parsons, Dez Bryant, Dak Prescott. Why are these guys the ones he's having issues with when the other three or four mentioned guys has not had an issue in getting a contract done? Like I said, this dude has a plantation mentality. He's shown it. We've seen clips and films of him in precarious places years ago in his earlier ages. So we all know about Jerry Jones, which is why I say he makes it hard to be a Cowboys man now.
We're going to do quick hits because I do have Alex Zietlow coming on at 11:40. We're going to go all the way to the bottom of the hour here with our Saturday NFL Roundtable. Ryan Smith, Ben Troupe, and Hot Rod Funderburk in the house here on a Saturday edition of the Desmond Johnson Show, brought to you by Emergency Responders Credit Union in Winston-Salem. Actually, I wanted to ask you this question, Ben. I'm very curious about what's going on in Los Angeles. What is up with Matthew Stafford? He has not taken a snap this entire training camp. We're in week 2 of the preseason. My understanding, he has a bulging disc in his back. That doesn't just go away after a good night's sleep. So I'm trying to figure out like what the plan is with the Rams. Like, I don't even know who the backup quarterback is, but it feels like they're trying to hold him to week 1, but he hasn't taken a snap, like practice, preseason game, joint practice, nothing. So as a former NFL player, how hard is it to just step onto the field and start playing football when you haven't had any practice for like going on 2+ months and you've got a bulging disc in your back? Like, is this something that we should be paying more attention to? Because I didn't feel like the national media has picked on it as much. They've been worried more about Aaron Rodgers and what's going on in Dallas. But the Rams could, with a healthy Matt Stafford, I feel like they could contend for the NFC West and win it. But without him, I can't see them being better than San Francisco or even Seattle. Your thoughts on the situation in LA with Matt Stafford and his back as a former player?
I think Sean McVay has done a really, really good job of making it not about Matthew Stafford. But I mean, remember when Matthew Stafford tried to go into free agency and nobody really was giving him a lot of love because he had to go see those trainers. So when they squeezed it on his back, they probably saying this goes back to when Drew Brees and Nick Saban was in the Drew Brees sweepstakes when he left San Diego to go down there to Miami. Those trainers, the last thing I want is an Asian quarterback with a bad back. That's a recipe for disaster, and I think it's a lot worse than they putting out now. The injury list, you don't have to worry about it because all they got to do is say he's hurt to not play in the preseason games, but week 1 is rapidly approaching, and I think Sean McVay gets so much respect for the play caller he is, for the coach he's been, for the resume he's built. But if you got the guy who nobody wanted, who probably going to easily be on the PUP list, that's going to set your team back because Stetson Bennett is still in the National Football League. He is a backup out there with the Rams. He could potentially see some playing time if and when Matthew Stafford isn't available. I knew it was more to the Matthew Stafford situation because nobody bid when he went into free agency. He tested the waters. Nobody bid. And I was like, well, why won't nobody go and get a guy who could definitely throw the football? That's kind of why. And I'm going to be interested to see because Sean McVay is a really, really good coach. But as you guys all know, you are the same reason why they hire you. It's the same reason why they will fire you. They'll say, well, it's not really working anymore. Asian quarterbacks are the reason why a lot of teams are good. Old quarterbacks are the reason why teams don't have a good enough young quarterback to put in there right now. That's why Aaron Rodgers, who I will die on this hill, the most overrated player you will ever see in your life is Aaron Rodgers. Not because he's not the man now, not because he's not him. But if I got 4 MVPs and 1 Super Bowl to show for it, Joe Flacco got a Super Bowl MVP. And he started the whole season. I am not comparing the two, but Joe Flacco was 40, still trying to be a starter. Aaron Rodgers is about to be 42, still vying to be a starter. I'm just telling y'all, if your quarterback, listen, I was born in 82, Aaron Rodgers was born in 83. I'm just telling y'all, you see what I'm doing for a living. I'm not saying Aaron going to be on this side, but you want to get you a quarterback that was born closer to 99, 2000 than 81, 82. That's all I'm saying.
And if you guys, the fans that are out watching right now, whether it's on X or Facebook, we're on Kick. We've had people commenting on our Kick page right now, Instagram, the Tobacco Road Instagram page, our YouTube channel. If you want to participate, this is the reason why we wanted to do this live on Saturdays. Old school radio, you can call in, comment on what we were talking about. New school, what we do, you go in and you comment in the comment section, and we can respond to you live while we're on the air. Shout out to Podcast Smitty, aka Shannon Smith, who hosts the Cat Cave with D. White. On Wednesdays on the Keep Pounding Podcast Network, checking in with us here on the Desmond Johnson Show. Rod, I'm glad he actually brought up Aaron Rodgers because I hadn't thought about it. I heard it the other day. The only 2 quarterbacks that I think made it to a Super Bowl past the age of 40, or actually had a winning record or something like that. It's Tom Brady and somebody else. I can't remember who it is. It might be Joe Flacco. They're the only two, I think. Aaron Rodgers is 42 years old, 41 years old. He played all right last year, but not to his standards.
How old was Peyton Manning when he went to the Super Bowl?
He was like 38, 39, I think.
39,
like that.
Okay, so he was pushing it. Okay, gotcha.
But he looked 60 in that Super Bowl. Like if you recall, like he couldn't really get the ball.
Well, he had those neck injuries.
Yeah, like at that point he couldn't really move around, and that game we won't talk about that game either. But we've got Alex Zietlow coming up here at the bottom of the hour from the Charlotte Observer. The Panthers taking on the Houston Texans a little bit later on today at 1:00. You can probably watch on NFL Network if you're not in the state of North Carolina. I wanted to shift over to something that I think is not getting a lot of notice. I noticed the Kingdom dropped on ESPN, the 6-part series on the Kansas City Chiefs and their bid to go for a three-peat last year that was thwarted by the Philadelphia Eagles. I'm sitting there looking at it, and I'm remembering last season, and I'm like, the Chiefs won so many games, like one possession type games, like tight games last year, mainly because they had a quarterback better than the quarterback you had. Like more often than not, it came down to that, or just weird stuff. They blocked a kick, like a field goal at the end of one game. Week 1, the Baltimore wide receiver's toe was out of bounds at the very end when he caught the touchdown, so the Chiefs won. So they compiled a 15-2 record. Really, they only lost one game because that last game, I think it was the Raiders. They just kind of gave it to them because they sat their starters or whatever. They did all that last year, and they were so banged up, especially on offense. The defense kind of carried them. My question really to the panel is, can the Chiefs be possibly better on offense this year with what they have coming back? Because they had a rotation of running backs that were injured. They were running out of wide receivers at one point, and now you're getting all this stuff back. And I'm hearing all these accounts from camp that Patrick Mahomes has been like razor sharp, like tuned in compared to where he would be normally in the preseason, just like on another level. It's impressing the Chiefs front office, and they've seen everything when it comes to Pat Mahomes. Ryan, I'll let you start off on this one since I'll let Rod and Ben go. Your thoughts on the Chiefs? Because it feels like we're not really talking about them. They're almost like we just assume they're going to be good, but I feel like we should be talking more about them. And I feel like I'm going to be picking Eagles and Chiefs again for the third straight year for the Super Bowl. So your thoughts on what's going on in Kansas City?
Yeah, Kansas City. So you're right. It was 11 one-possession games that they ended up winning last year. That is going to regress to the mean in 2025. Same thing with the 2023 Minnesota Vikings. It did that as well. So that's going to regress to the mean. I think the Chiefs Kingdom, they are going to take a little bit of a step back this year while being more talented on offense. So stay with me. Hollywood Brown, Rashee Rice are both coming back from injury. Both of those guys are very fast receivers, good route runners. You got Xavier Worthy, Travis Kelce, more focused this year, Isaiah Pacheco, Patrick Mahomes. I think they're going to be better and faster on offense this year, but still only win 10 to 11 games this year. Whether that wins the division, I don't know. But I think because the defense is reliably going to take a little bit of a step back. They're getting older. Chris Jones, Trent McDuffie is still young and ascending, but Chris Jones getting up there in age, and their depth is not as good as it once was there on defense.
Yeah, guys, anything to add about the Chiefs? Because I kind of agree with everything Ryan just said. It just feels like nobody's paying attention to them, which is weird. It kind of leads me actually, let me go into this question too, because we're going over to Alex here in just a bit. And this is open for the whole panel. Piggybacking off of what Ryan just said, real quick, what's the toughest division in the NFL to you going into this season? Because we haven't done our conference previews. We'll probably start that next Saturday, and we'll do college football probably start next week as well. We'll also have some high school football recaps next Saturday. Also, me and Rod doing East Forsyth versus Glenn, the Kernersville Cup. They're doing that week 1 because of the way the classifications got moved around. So we'll be at the Nest on Friday night upcoming this week doing that game. Chase Williams and Coach Willoughby will be down at Bank of America Stadium doing Grimsley versus West Charlotte. That's probably the biggest game in the state. That's an 8 o'clock kickoff. There will be a 7:30 pregame show with Chase and Coach. But you guys, toughest division in football right now, in your opinion? Rod, starting off with you, which one is the one you kind of look at and go, ooh, that one's pretty rough?
I mean, for this year, it depends on how you look at it. For this year, I'm actually let me start off with the NFC East, just because the Cowboys are in that division. But if you look at that division, just real quick, every single team has won multiple Super Bowls, and I don't think there's another division that can say that. So I think that's pretty cool. But I don't think they're going to be the toughest division this year. because I think the Eagles and the Commanders are going to slug it out for number one. But I do think the Chiefs division, the AFC West, is going to be a heck of a division. You're talking about Harbaugh, who's a heck of a coach, and they have really been coming on. You're talking about Pete Carroll being there for the Raiders. He got his running back, and I'm looking to see this kid from Boise State do a heck of a job at the running back position this year. And was it Tinneman is his name? I can't remember his name. I think it's Tinneman or something like that.
Ashton Genty?
Genty, that's him. Yeah. Genty. Yeah, so Genty, I'm looking forward to him doing his thing. Then, Bo Nix, I watched him when he was at Alabama. Then when he transferred over to Oregon, now he's in the league with Peyton. And I think Peyton really has Bo Nix sharp. I also think that is a heck of a defense and a defensive coordinator that the Denver Broncos have. So I think Denver has a heck of a team. And then what do you say about the Chiefs? They're in it every year. They're always at the top of the AFC every single year. So I just think that division is going to be the toughest division in football this year. Just my opinion.
Ryan, your thoughts real quick on what do you think is the toughest division right now as we are in the middle of August?
AFC West has a great, with the coaching staff, just in general, the head coaches in that division, AFC West could definitely make a case. But I'm going to say the NFC North. I mean, you've got the Bears that are ascending. I don't think they're going to be players in the division this year, but the Vikings, the Packers, and the Lions all could make cases to win that division. There's question marks on every single one of them, yes. But you can make the case that if Caleb Williams hits, the Bears' defense is not bad. And their offense is pretty good with Ben Johnson, calling the plays. So, NFC North would be my number one.
And Ben, what do you think is the toughest division in the NFL right now as we stand in the middle of August?
I like the NFC East. I like the NFC North. I think it's going to be the AFC North. I think when you look at the fact that Mike Tomlin, the one thing that's been on his resume the whole time is I've never had a losing record. And since Ben Roethlisberger, I haven't picked a good quarterback. I am not good at picking quarterbacks. He is going all in on Aaron Rodgers. And who wouldn't when you talk about, what he's been able to do? You can put a defense around him. You talk about Lamar Jackson, right? You talk about Joe Burrow. And I don't know who's going to be the starting quarterback for Cleveland. I know who Cleveland wants. Well, Cleveland fan base wants Shador.
Yeah, the city of Cleveland.
The city of Cleveland wants Shador. But I just think it's going to be I think it's going to be the toughest division because it's no excuses now. Lamar, you got to get to an AFC Championship game. Joe Burrow, since that Super Bowl year, it's been, hey man, I know we don't want to pay defensive ends, but we got you T. Higgins, we got you Jamar Chase, and it's gonna be a slugfest, like I said. But I like the AFC North. I think this division is gonna be one to watch. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think the NFC East. I think Hard Knocks picks the division. I think it's NFC East this year. I think that's who they're gonna be looking at, but. A healthy Dak Prescott, he's going to put some pressure on the Eagles and the Commanders because no one's really talking about him. I know he done slimmed down, and I know you gave him a weapon. I think the Dallas Cowboys are going to be similar to that of a Kansas City Chiefs. They want their identity to be ran through the offense. So you talk about the Kingdom, Desmond. Kansas City won last year, not how we used to see him winning. And no matter what, a guy like Patrick Mahomes, he has an ego. He's like, look, man, people don't think I'm that good no more. People don't think I can get it done no more. He done cut the mohawk off. Yeah. Got a real haircut now in 2025. We'll see what happens with that. But it is going to be intriguing because no matter what, I don't care if you got a coach, I don't care if you got a team. If you ain't got a quarterback, you're not going to win it. And I think the teams we were talking about today, they all got one thing in common. They got some guys that can sling it. They got some guys that got some pedigree to them. We'll see.
Yeah, I gotta agree with that because I was looking at the AFC North also, and I agree with you. Beyond AFC Championship, Lamar has to get to a Super Bowl at this point. He's got MVPs, plural trophies. He's widely considered a top 3 quarterback in the league, if not right behind Pat Mahomes. He's got basically the same kind of template that the Philadelphia Eagles just won a Super Bowl with. He literally has the same. He might not have the same wide receivers that Jalen Hurts has. But he's got a beast behind him in the backfield that's similar in Derrick Henry that probably should be playing in Dallas right now, to be honest. But Baltimore has him. And I feel like the Ravens, the Bengals have gotten off slow in September the past couple of years, and that's been their downfall. They dug a hole for themselves and had to dig themselves out of it. Even the year they went to the Super Bowl, they started off slow and had to kind of back their way into the playoffs, and then they got hot. I feel like Joe Burrow's been living off of that Super Bowl trip his entire career, basically, at this point. That was how many years ago? 3 years ago?
Well, 29, what,
4.
21.
4 years ago now.
Yeah, so it's been almost a career since he's even sniffed being that close to a Super Bowl. You got the situation in Cleveland; they got a good defense, a good run game. If they can finally just give the keys to Shador, I think they could actually take off. But it seems like there's some reluctance to do so. And then you got Pittsburgh, where again Tomlin hasn't had a losing season, but they haven't won a playoff game in like
2016
years
or 2018, somewhere like that. Yeah.
And you're right about the quarterback thing, because even Roethlisberger, when they picked him, he was a late first round pick. Like it almost kind of stumbled into him. It wasn't like they really scouted him; he just kind of got it. They've been lucky, basically, at quarterback, and that luck may run out because again, Aaron Rodgers is outside of 40 years old. There's no guarantee he's going to play all 17 games this year. What do you do then? Do you turn it over to who's the backup in Pittsburgh right now? Does anybody know?
Isn't the quarterback that just came out of Notre Dame? If I'm not mistaken.
Oh, Sam Hartman.
No, Riley. No, not Riley Leonard. He's in the Colts. I think Mason Rudolph was on there.
I think Rudolph was in Cleveland. He's one of the 5 in Cleveland now, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
No. You talk about Pickens in Cleveland.
That's Kenny Pickett.
Oh, Pickens.
Rudolph.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, Rudolph's in Pittsburgh. But listen, Dez, I got a quick question for Ben, Dez.
Yeah.
Ben, you mentioned something about the Cowboys might do something, man. They still give me a little cause to pause this year for a couple reasons. First reason is I'm not so sure I'm sold on the head coach of Schottenheimer not having any experience, as well as being handpicked by Jerry Jones, which is an issue to me. And then I'm also not sold on our defense being able to stop the run. It's almost like if you're a running team, man, and you're just wanting to play the Cowboys and you're just salivating at the mouth when it comes to the run game. So my question is, there is no cause to pause on those two issues, the defense and the new coach. How do you feel about them at the Cowboys?
I mean, I think everybody, even in Cowboy Nation, even Brian Schottenheimer was surprised when he got hired as a head coach. I don't think he was on nobody's head coaching tree. He was like, "You got the right number. This is Brian. This ain't my pops, man. No, this is Brian." And obviously, I got to love Brian because he is a Florida Gator, so I can love him because he went there back in the day. But the reason why I say Dallas is going to be a contender is because when Dak is healthy, he is really, really good. And
yeah, he really is.
I think that's the thing about Dallas is a healthy Dak is going to put pressure on anybody in that division and outside the division because he's had his way in the NFC East when he's healthy. The thing about the defense is even with Micah Parsons, they can't stop the run, and it is bad. I mean, it's not even middle of I need my defense to be serviceable. They're not even that when it comes to stopping the run. And I think the thing is, if you are a Dak Prescott, if they give just like people coming at, we talked about guys like Joe Burrow living off that Super Bowl. We talked about, guys like Josh Allen, even though we didn't get into him, or a guy like Lamar Jackson. If you are Dak, your legacy right now is saying Tony Romo is in the booth. Outside of that, you got a bunch of yards, right? You got a bunch of moments. But in the playoffs, you got to prove that you know what to do on fourth down with the game on the line because you've proven that you don't even know what to do. Yeah. And I think that's the thing about Dallas is it's enough things on its own without Micah Parsons, without Jerry Jones. You get a guy like George Pickens is a top 10 receiver. That guy can play football, but you got to keep but you ain't heard nothing from him. Because I think CD will say, look, man, just go out there and play, man. Don't do the antics, show up every day. So I do agree, Rod. It's a lot of things, but you can't. Nobody can go out there with them starting 11. I like Diggs, but he became a first-team All-Pro and he gave up the most yards as a corner that year. So it's like it's so many things with Dallas. Dallas is this type of team. Their ceiling is through the roof, but their floor is so low, and that's the thing. Like, I don't know what to go off this team. The health of Dak Prescott will be the reason why y'all either be playoff contenders or it'll just be another year. I think y'all going to be in it, though. Because like I said, Jaden Daniels gave me 1 year. They don't want to sign Scary Terry. And that is going to hurt Washington bad. I think George Pickens is looking over there at the Eagles saying, I think me and CD is better than Devonta Smith and AJ. I think we better than y'all. And they're going to get to prove it week 1. It's going to be intriguing to watch, man. Jerry is the only 80-something-year-old, got radio shows, podcasts, and he does interviews every day, man. I don't know what to say, but Dallas, I will be watching. I will be watching, no doubt.
I got to take a break. We're going to have this going on every Saturday, and we're going to start doing more college football as we get closer to it. We'll have a high school check-in section where, we're one of the largest providers of high school football live broadcasts in the Triad. Actually, I think we are the largest. So we'll have check-ins from all of our folks from the previous night. Shout out to everybody on the panel here. I got to take a quick commercial break here on WWBG 1470 AM. Be back in just a bit with Charlotte Observer beat writer Alex Zietlow, and he'll help us preview Panthers versus the Houston Texans at 1 o'clock this afternoon. Back in just a bit.
Every day, people ask us, do we really have enough saved to retire? Our custom retirement paycheck plan can answer that. We evaluate your current situation and create a written income plan to show you how to retire the job and keep the paycheck. More at thewealthguardians.com.
Investment advisory services offered through Alpha Capital Management, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor. SEC registration does not constitute endorsement of the firm by the Commission, nor does it indicate that the advisor has attained a particular level of skill or ability. Alpha Capital Management, LLC, and Wealth Guardians are independent entities. The firm only transacts business in states where it is properly registered or is excluded or exempted from registration requirements. Insurance products and services offered through individually licensed and appointed agents in various jurisdictions.
Restaurants, entertainment, art, cool places to live. Whatever you're looking for, it's here. Downtown Winston-Salem is a proud sponsor of North Carolina high school sports, and we encourage you to shop and visit downtown. To discover more, visit www.downtownws.com or follow Downtown Winston-Salem on Facebook or Instagram. Hey, have you heard the news? Kids now eat free every Monday at J. Pepper's Southern Grill in Kernersville. For every adult you bring that buys an entree $15 or more, one kid eats free. Totally free. Plus on Tuesdays, it's trivia night from 6 to 8 p.m. with $4 house highballs all day long. Whether it's stopping by for a quick lunch or later in the evening for a truly Southern dinner, make sure J. Pepper's is on the calendar. Join us to start your week at J. Pepper's Southern Grill, 841 Old Winston Road in Kernersville.
This is Grant Williams, and you're listening to The Desmond Johnson Show on Tobacco Road Sports Radio, your Triad home for sports.
Welcome back to the Desmond Johnson Show here on WWBG 1470 AM every Saturday morning, 11 a.m. live across the Triad, and of course on TobaccoRoadSportsRadio.com. Go check out and subscribe to the YouTube channel, youtube.com/@TobaccoRoadSportsRadio. Got a Carolina Panther check-in. The Panthers taking on the Houston Texans today, 1 p.m. If you're in the Triad, you should be able to watch it over at our friends WFMY News 2. They are the Panther affiliate here in the Triad. You should be able to watch the game in its entirety there with the Panthers radio network on the call. Anish Shroff and I believe Steve Smith on the call there. Alex Zietlow joining us here, Charlotte Observer's Panther beat writer. What's going on, Alex? How you been doing so far during this Panthers training camp?
Everything is going great. You're either really hot or drenched in rain, but that's fine. You're figuring out how to tweet stuff out while your phone is telling you, hey, like I can't operate, and you're just like, no, phone, I need you. Sorry, phone, you're gonna have to figure it out. But no, it's great.
Kind of been blessed this year. It hasn't been as hot of a training camp as it normally is. Usually it's sweltering hot going into this.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But the fans don't get to benefit from it, which is
right. Which is why I wanted you on, because you've got your eyes and ears on the field at training camp in Charlotte. Of course, the fans not allowed to watch anything this year due to the construction of the Panther facilities in Charlotte. Alex, let's just jump right into it real quick, and then we'll get everybody out of here at noon. The Panthers wide receiver room is probably the most talked about position group on this team. How many wide receivers do you think the Panthers are going to keep? Because I was working with the idea that they're going to probably keep 6, but I could easily see them figuring out a way to maybe keep 7. Because there's some wide receivers. It feels like teams around the league are kind of waiting for us to cut to go grab. Right now, from what you're watching on the field, how many wide receivers do you think this Panther team is going to go into the week 1 with?
So, Desmond, I imagine your 6 are Teteroa McMillan, Adam Thielen, Xavier Legette, and then probably Hunter Renfrow,
yep,
Jalen Coker,
yep, and Jimmy Horn Jr.
And then Jimmy Horn Jr. Okay, so those are your 6. That means that you're leaving out David Moore.
Yes, but I did hear yesterday, I didn't realize how attached he is to Dave Canales. He's been with Canales pretty much at every stop over the past 6 years, so I didn't know that dynamic. I don't know if that'll come into play. Like, I mean, eventually it's just talent overrides talent, but that's kind of why I'm like, well, if there's a 7th, it'll probably be David Moore, right?
Right. I personally think they'll keep 7, at least on the initial 53. And because as you said, Dave Canales and David Moore are so tight. David Moore actually came on our podcast over the Charlotte Observer and said, hey, I don't want to play for another coach. And Dave Canales has spoken to reporters and basically said, Jimmy Horn Jr. reminds me of David Moore. And David Moore is this guy who is really important to the leadership in this young receiving room and all these things. And he's also very valuable in the return game, which I think doesn't get considered enough. He's every time the Panthers really need to have a secure punt catch or a punt return or whatever, he's back there. And Raheem Blackshear was on the sideline last year, which was interesting. David Moore does have an uphill climb when it comes to making the initial 53-man roster because according to NFL roster rules, he is a vested veteran, which means that he has at least 4 years of accrued time in the NFL. And if a vested veteran is on the active roster for week 1, his entire base salary is guaranteed that year. Now when you actually look at the numbers, it's actually not a massive commitment because he is not the most expensive player on this wide receiving core, but it is something to consider, particularly if you know that David Moore doesn't necessarily want to play for anyone else. He doesn't have to hit the waiver wire if you release him, which means that teams don't immediately get a look at him and get a chance to see him. He can choose where he goes. So it is more likely, if you want to be really scrupulous about it, that he could get cut and return to the Panthers on the practice squad. And then say after week 1, he can get even elevated to the main squad, the active roster on week 1, and then get signed thereafter. And the Panthers still have some flexibility with money. You can make all that. You can say all you want with that. Dave Canales does really care about leadership in this wide receiver room because he's a wide receivers coach and knows how valuable that is. And he also really likes David Moore. So I still think that they're going to keep 7. However, if you want to play this expert game, you can, and you can justify cutting David Moore prior to during the initial 53-man roster cutdown day. That's cool. But dude, my spidey sense is saying that they're going to keep 7.
I'm thinking the same too, because they've talked very highly about a number of the guys. You just mentioned Hunter Renfrow earlier on before he had the hamstring injury. I don't know if we even see him in preseason, which tells me that he's going to make the squad. Otherwise, he'd be trying to get back out there to make sure that he had a spot. It feels like he's been kind of told, oh, you're going to make the 53. So he's just resting up, getting ready for week 1. It feels like I seriously doubt we see him today or next week. So a guy like him, when you've got your own cornerbacks, your own starting cornerbacks, your number 1 cornerback, and J.C. Horn saying, we can't cover him. We can't cover him. You can't cut that guy. That kind of thing happens. And you mentioning that Canales' background as a wide receivers coach. So he's going to angle more toward, if he's going to keep more than you normally would in a position group, it'd probably be the wide receiver room. And me and Jonathan Stewart were talking about this on Believe in Panthers. I was asking him all the years he was with the Panthers and then the years me watching the Panthers before he arrived, I can't think of a time where the wide receiver room has been this deep for the Panthers in terms of 1 through 6. We've had top heavy rooms with Smitty and Moose and others in there like that. The first 2 guys might be really good, and then it trails off tremendously, it falls off a cliff. This year, it's you got a nice mix of veterans, rookies, first-round picks, guys who have been in the league. It's a very good mix of wide receivers, which is really good for quarterback Bryce Young, who's entering in year 3 and could be a pretty crucial year for him in terms of contract negotiation at the end of this year. Depending on how he plays, he'll be available to negotiate a second contract with the Panthers. What do you think is the number 1 difference in Bryce Young from what you've seen at training camp at this point this year, as opposed to this point last year?
I want to start with the point about the weapons around him. Like you were saying, the 6 wide receivers, the 7 wide receivers is the deepest that he's had to work with throughout his brief, but still pretty, he's seen a lot in his 2 years in the NFL. He has wide receivers to throw the ball to. Now, a lot of that is because the Panthers are drafting wide receivers. The Panthers have drafted 3 of the 6 or 7 wide receivers that we're talking about in Xavier Legette, which they used in the first-round pick last year. They traded up to get him. Teteroa McMillan, which they used the number 8 overall pick to get him this past year. And then Jimmy Horn Jr., which they used a 6th-round pick on. So this wide receiver room kind of looks like a basketball team, which is what Dave Canales wants. He wants guys who are super fast. He wants guys that are super big and physical and can go up and get rebounds. He wants guys who are like role players or craftsmen who can like get open in the 5 to 10 yard range and then the 10 to 15 yard range. He has it all, and that's where Bryce kind of thrives, and that's kind of what he's done all preseason. Like he came into the league as this guy who can be a point guard, so to speak, who can find, but a point guard needs other players. A point guard needs someone who he can get the ball to and can finish either at the 3-point line or whatever. I don't know how long you want this analogy to go, but like
it goes with what Tepper was saying when they drafted him, that he was the point guard or whatever. But you're right, he didn't have anybody to pass it to really. So that's one major difference. Another major difference is he is just so confident. He is talking crap to JC Horn. You've heard those stories. He is like smiling. I've said this a couple times. Bryce Young is proving how like streaky he can be, and I mean that in a complimentary way. He like when there are moments in practice where if he completes like 3 or 4 balls in a row and he's just seeing the field beautifully, you're like, okay, like he's gonna, every time he drops back to pass, he's gonna complete this ball. I felt that a couple times just as a general football fan throughout the years. One of them was one year with Aaron Rodgers where I was just like, okay, every time he drops back, he's gonna complete a pass and it's gonna be a massive pass. I felt that in training camp. Not to be too hype, not to feed into this Bryce Young hype. I think we're all tentative to like dive right in again after the past 6 years.
This is different. Like I promise you, this is different. His rookie season, his rookie season was my rookie season covering the NFL, and I remember looking back on it and being like, okay, well, I guess this is what good quarterback play looks like. Even if it didn't feel right, I guess this is what it looks like in a practice setting. And then it turned out he didn't have a great rookie season. And then his second year, it looked a lot different, but he still had to get used to Dave Canales' play calling, Brad Idzik's guidance, the offensive coordinator. He had to do all these things, and he still wasn't utilizing his entire bag. The moment he started running, the moment that he started scrambling, like he is like sneaky fast and also sneaky tough. And you saw that at the end of last year. And so now you're kind of putting it all together, and like he has real momentum. I don't know how to explain it outside of just like taking you through every pass and every like at the line read that he's making, and just like all these throws that he's hitting. I don't know how to do that for you until like you see it in real time. And that's honestly when I'm going to see it too. But like all I can intimate to you is that it's different, because it is.
Charlotte Observer Panthers beat writer Alex Zietlow joining us here on the Desmond Johnson Show as the Panthers and the Texans get ready to get after it. 1:00 p.m. today, WFMY News 2 in the Triad. You can watch it there, or you can listen to it on the Panthers radio network. I believe it's on Rock 92, if I'm not mistaken, here in the Triad. In terms of Bryce Young, last year when he got, well, really before he got benched last year, I was in the preseason commenting on this, and I posted it on Twitter. That one of the things that bothered me about Bryce Young was his footwork, where the first year and some change he was here, I guess he was able to get away with it at every level he was at before he got to the NFL. He would get the ball in shotgun, it would get snapped to him, and he would just kind of stand there. Like he didn't have a bounce. He didn't climb a ladder. He didn't do anything. He just kind of stood there on his toes a little bit. And after about 2 seconds, somebody's in the backfield with him. And now he's reacting to what somebody's chasing him. Someone's trying to hurt him, that kind of thing. Towards the end of last year, and I think I remember Dave Canales mentioning this, that they had been working on his footwork last year, where when he got back into the game, it did feel like the game was running slower to him in terms of what he's seeing on the field. And he started using the footwork, the stuff I pointed out. Like he would take the snap, drop back 2 feet, 3 feet, and then start to climb the pocket. And he wasn't doing that before. It could have a number of reasons why. It could have been he didn't trust the offensive line. He didn't have anybody open. There's a number of reasons why he could have did it. He could have just been shell-shocked. Who knows? But he snapped out of it. And that's the thing that I was looking forward to seeing that carry over, and watching them in that first preseason game last week against the Browns. You would think it was 53 Shadur Sanders out there playing against us the way the national media has talked about that game. They haven't mentioned the Panthers at all, but Bryce Young, first series, 3 and out. Second series, they looked a lot sharper. You could tell he's been working on routes with like Tet McMillan. I told Stu the best play in that whole game to me was the drop pass in the end zone from Bryce Young to Tet McMillan, where it was a timing type deal. And Tet is going to the left. As he's going to the left, Bryce is releasing the ball. Like by the time he turns back around, it's right here. And he missed it, but he immediately recognized that that's what we do. And I just saw before we got on here, they did that same play in practice against the Browns, and it was actually a touchdown. So they're working on these little things that are just making the overall offense look a lot better. As long as Bryce isn't throwing the ball 40 times a game and they're sticking to the run game and everything, I think they're going to, I don't want to say it, but I think they're going to be actually watchable this year. Like they're going to actually be fun to cover. Because as you know, Alex, it's been hard to cover this team the last 2 months of the season, the past couple of years.
It hasn't necessarily been hard. It's just like you have to kind of manufacture some consequence.
Yeah.
It's kind of difficult to, I mean, outside of, okay, here's who the Panthers could draft. If
you weren't a Panther fan before you started covering the Panthers, though, were you?
It's a difficult question. Here's how I answer that question, because I am an objective reporter. I grew up in North Carolina, grew up in Raleigh, North Carolina, and Cam Newton is probably the most influential athlete in my life. That's how I've chosen to answer that question.
Okay, so by default, you were, but you weren't like full blown.
Desmond, don't put me in this corner, dog. Don't do it.
Let me get you out of here on this one then. Panthers and Texans live 1 p.m. today on WFMY2. What fringe players are you suggesting the average fan look out for? Not starters or anything, because really preseason is really about the last 5 or 6 spots on the roster anyway. Who are those fringe players that you're keeping an eye on that are basically playing for their NFL lives? Who, as the average fan, should they be looking at in this Panthers-Texas game at 1 o'clock, in your opinion?
Okay, great question. I'll give you 3 guys.
Okay.
Number 1, cornerback Corey Thornton. He is an undrafted cornerback out of Louisville. Prior to Louisville, he played 4 seasons at Central Florida, and he has a larger profile, which is what the Panthers want in their cornerbacks. And he's just been making plays everywhere in training camp, at FanFest, and then in the first preseason game, we saw him have, I believe, a pass breakup and then a WWE style tackle on a Browns receiver who's doing this end around play. And anytime you ask a wide receiver or a cornerback or a defensive back about who has stood out to you, the first 3 syllables out their mouth are Corey Thornton. So that's one guy. And I think he is taking starting reps, but he's still fighting for a roster spot. He's an undrafted guy. Nothing's given to him, etc. Okay. That's number 1. Number 2 is this guy, Cade Mays. Now, the earnest Panthers fan would know that he was in a pretty heated and intense battle for the center competition this offseason and in training camp and all these things with Austin Corbett. Dave Canales announced earlier this week that Austin Corbett won the center position job, so he's going to be the starter going into the season. But if you remember, Cade wasn't a center last year. He actually was he played for the Panthers previously as an interior offensive lineman guy, but really just like a 6th man. He could kind of play anywhere on the line. He got released, went over to the Giants practice squad, and then once the offensive line had some attrition last year for the Panthers, he was brought from the Giants practice squad back to Carolina, and he actually ended up starting at center with Austin out, and so they had this competition. But now that he is no longer the starting center, he's back to being kind of this like 6-man sort of dude. And if you know, the Panthers have some attrition at inside guard or at the guard spots now with Damian Lewis hurt. We still don't know what his timeline is going to be. And with Chandler Zavala week to week with a knee injury. So where's Cade Mays going to play? Is he going to be at the guard position? That's something that a really into it Panthers fan should be looking out for. And then the third guy is this guy who, if you're really into it, if you really want to know, okay, is this guy going to make the team or not? It's this inside linebacker named Thomas Incoom. He's had an absolutely massive camp. He's not going to start ahead of Trevin Wallace or Christian Roseboom. Don't worry about all that. But he's really good. And if he can like fill out this inside linebacker room with Wallace, Roseboom, this dude Claude and Cherylus, and him, that's actually a pretty good inside linebacker room considering where the Panthers were or what they thought they had after Josie Jewell got released from the team earlier this training camp. So those three guys, Corey Thornton, Cade Mays, Thomas Incoon.
I love it. I love it. There you go, Carolina Panther fans. You got about an hour before the game begins there. We're about to get out of here. Shout out to Alex Zietlow from the Charlotte Observer. Follow his work on X at Alex Zietlow for the latest in Carolina Panthers. He's actually on the field watching during training camp, so you can catch the stuff there. Shout out to my fellows who came through to preview NFL stuff earlier in the show. We're back live on Saturdays, so you can catch us next Saturday, 11 o'clock a.m., right after Box to Row here on WWBG 1470 a.m., and, of course, on TobaccoRoadSportsRadio.com. We will see you Tuesday with a brand new episode.